Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today is my long-awaited The Ultimate Drugstore Kit recommendations video, and this is specifically for the geographic location of Singapore because when we talk about drugstore in Singapore, it's going to be very different to other parts of the world where you will have like loads of brands inside and you will have a lot of options when it comes to drugstore providers. But in Singapore, essentially we're boiled down to 2 or 3, and even then we have Guardian, Watsons and Unity. Unity is a pharmacy, so we're down to 2, and I would say out of those 2, both are equally good because they do bring in different brands. But that being said, it can be a little tricky to find these products. That's not to say that it's not going to be a really fun excursion for you and your friends to just go around and hunt for these products, but I would say majority of it you can definitely find in store. So this is the look that I've come up with using a variety of products, where I have a whole bag of products to recommend to you guys. So let's just head into skincare first. So the first product is this from Goodal, and it's basically a essence, but I use it as a toner and cleanser as well. So this will be my all-in-one essence, serum, moisturizer step, as well as the next product. So just dispensing it fully onto a cotton pad. I'm not gonna be sparing with this because I do like my skin to be very much softened, and this is a great tip for a starter kit because you really want your skin to be very kind of hydrated, but for oily skin you don't want it to be like oily or too glossy or greasy feeling. So I find that with this essence, which can be found in Guardian, it's just super nourishing and it helps me calm a lot of my sensitive areas, and when I get those like little bumps, I find that it calms my skin really well. Alright, the next product, which in the packaging it's not that ideal, but the product itself is really good. It's from Hada Labo. It's the white UV gel, and basically it is your all-in-one. It could be a moisturizer, it could be a primer. More importantly, it is your sun protection. And for me, how I like to use it is just basically what's on the cap, and that will be sufficient sun protection. You just need to kind of blend it and don't be sparing with it, is what I'm trying to say, because you do want sufficient protection regardless of what the look you're going to be doing. So this would be my skin prep for all the looks, ranging from different price ranges in terms of its set, in terms of the starter kit set. But overall, these 2 skincare products I would highly recommend. Alright, the very first step for me in a very simplified routine would be starting off with concealer, and that's basically to set the precedence that, for instance, if you're on a really tight budget, you don't need to get a foundation because you have a pretty kind of versatile formulation type concealer. So I have 3 recommendations for you. The first one being the Revlon Candid concealer, the second one being Maybelline Age Rewind, and the last being the Catrice Camouflage. So I'm thinking in that order, it's from most expensive to most affordable. This is definitely the most affordable. So those were the options, but today I'm just going to show you with the Camouflage concealer, because what I like about this concealer is that it's actually pretty stiff a texture, but it's very versatile, because once you warm it up with your finger and pat it out on the back of your hand, you warm it up in this manner, and once you pat it out, you can see it's super opaque, but you can achieve like a very kind of blended light base with this. Alright, so very quickly, I'm going to start with areas of discoloration. I'm just going to pat it under my eyes. Coming up pretty close, you can see that my natural skin is still showing. There are certain few marks, but this is what I want to just show, that it looks like my everyday type of coverage, slightly perfected. Your skin still looks like skin, meshes really well with the skincare and gives you that very light shine, and that's basically how you want your skin to look, because you don't want it to look overly done up. So this is with just the skincare with no concealer, and this is with the kind of concealer. If you want a little bit more coverage, let's say because I do have dark under eye circles, I can just layer it. And because it is a concealer, basically what that means is that you're able to achieve a full to light coverage. Alright, and on the other side, what I'm going to do is using a foundation brush, just dipping into it quite liberally. You can also apply it in this method. I tend to like to use my hands just because that will give you the most natural coverage. Sometimes with a brush or a sponge, it kind of disrupts your skincare as well. So both sides are done, and obviously with a brush it's a lot faster, but these are just a few techniques you can use to achieve like a multitude of finishes with one concealer. These two brow products basically are the most affordable, and to be honest, it's the most affordable. It's pretty hard to find because it's always sold out, but it's like literally the only brow product I would even recommend to you guys, because like I've been looking around and things like from L'Oreal, from Revlon, from Maybelline don't really match up to, you know, that kind of Anastasia Brow Wiz quality that I'm looking for. So this is the Slimatic Ultra Precision Brow Pencil from Catrice, as well as the Make Me Brow Gel from Essence. I've featured this so many times, talked about it in my favorites, and yeah, these two I'm going to be using on my brows, so I'm just going to fast forward through this part. So this is with one brow done with the pencil as well as the gel, and this is without any product. So I would say that if you guys need any tips on how to do your brows, really hit me up on Instagram. I will either film myself or something like that to show you guys. But yeah, ultimately I do my brows really simply, I guess. I don't have really any fanciful technique. It's just I would recommend using a pencil if you're not familiar, and then using the brow gel. Alternatively, if you're really on a tight budget, there is a way that you can use the gel on its own just to shape the brows, but you would need like a brush, like quite a fine tip brush, so that you can map out the areas. But other than that, I think these two are incredibly affordable, and you can see the stark difference while giving it very nice definition. Okay, so both my brows are done. I'm going to move on to bronzing. I'm going to do this basically sequentially, like how I would do my makeup, so you could adapt this also as your starter routine. But we're going to be talking about bronzers. When I talk about bronzers, I just want to say that that is the category, but that isn't going to be necessarily how I'm going to be using it. I mean, I will use it as a bronzer plus more, which is what I'm trying to say. So using a bronzer, because it's powder based, typically from the drugstore, you can use it a multitude of ways. You can use it, you know, as a contour for the lip. You can use it as a bronzer, a actual contour, an eyeshadow. There's many things you can do with it. And also, if like a bronzer is dark enough, sometimes you can use it in your brows. It's just a few ways. So talking about the product recommendations, I'm going to be starting from the most expensive option. So this is a contour and highlight palette from Clio, and it's a Korean brand that is found at Watson's. So I believe they still have stock, so but you just have to like pick and choose which Watson you pretty much go to. But yeah, this is a new one for me, but I really like it because previously when I used Clio products, as in powdered products in general, I find that it's very finely milled. It's on top of an unset base, which is like, you know, now I don't have any powder on, just moisturizer as well as concealer, so it's a little bit tacky. I find that powders that are of pretty good quality and are decently fine, they blend on the skin regardless of whether or not you have a setting powder underneath. So this is a really good recommendation. I haven't exactly tried this palette itself, but I've tried Clio powders and I've swatched this in store and it's really good as well. So this is the most expensive option, unfortunately. This other one is also pretty hard to find. If you guys do drugstore makeup shopping enough, you will know that it's pretty hard to go into a store and expect everything to be there. The bigger stores, I would say, is Takashimaya, Vivo City, Gem. Yeah, so these kind of bigger flagship stores perhaps might have all this, but you definitely do have to go hunting. This one is from Milani. It's a baked bronzer, so this is slightly different as compared to the Clio one because this has shimmers in it and it's so stunning, guys. This is something that I can't believe is brought into the drugstore because it's very similar to something like the Hourglass bronzers, the Hourglass blushes. It has this marbling as well as this shimmer running through it, and because it's baked, it's also really a refined kind of powder. So this, I would say, is very, very beautiful. It's unfortunately not going to suit a lot of people. It's going to only suit really light, medium, light, and at most like tone medium skin tone, not so much deeper and darker. But for deeper and darker women, this would be an excellent highlight. So yeah, this is another recommendation. It's a little hard to find, but it's from Milani. The most affordable one would come from Catrice. They do have a baked bronzer as well, but I found that that one was a bit too dark for me. So this is their Universal Bronze Matte Bronzer, and it's not really universal. It's kind of going to only match a couple of people. It's going to be matching light to medium skin tones, but I do find this to be the most affordable, and on my complexion, if you are anything like me, this will be really good. So like I mentioned, I'm going to be using this in my eye socket as well to show you the versatility. Okay, so I'm just going to liberally dab into the product because like I mentioned, these powders are pretty fine, so you just have to like saturate your brush enough. And I'm just going to show you on half my face as well. My bronzing pattern typically is in a C shape, not so much a 3 shape, because I don't really like the fact that, you know, powder goes on the jawline. I find that, I mean, you can blend it however much you want, but if you don't really take it down all the way to your chest area, there's gonna be a distinct difference in terms of the shading factor. So what I like to do is start on the cheeks, and I just go in a circular motion, bring it up to the cheekbone. And this is more of a bronzing, it's not so much a contouring technique. And I bring it up to the temple, really in this C motion. I also dust it onto the nose. So you can see it's slightly bronzed here. It just gives that lift you need in the face, and this side doesn't have the bronzer. Okay, so if you want a more chiseled look, you want to really contour the face, you have to use a more precise brush. And for me, I like to take it on the tip of the brush. And this Catrice bronzer has a very good, like, it's warm yet a cool tone, so it works well as a chiseling type of bronzer. I would say the Milani one is a little bit too warm, so only use this for bronzing and in the crease of your eyes. And for the Clio one, because there's a multitude, you can see there's a ashier brown, there's a deeper brown, there are more neutral light tone browns, so you can mix and match to suit your needs. So going back to the Catrice one, in order to hollow out the cheekbones, you just need to suck your cheeks in. And where you can see that natural line forming is where you want to aim at. Once you have that shadow, it's pretty much all you need. I would say don't go so crazy when it comes to contouring, because in our sunny Singapore, in our climate, it really shows when you have a lot of bronzer. And typically, regardless of however expensive your product is, if you apply too much powder, it shows. And use as little powder as you can. That's my recommendation. Alright, last but not least, going into the same bronzer. So you can see it has like really so many uses, and for an everyday look you can literally just use the bronzer alone as your eyeshadow. But today, because I'm showing you a variety of looks, so using the bronzer, you can go in your kind of socket line. You can lightly blend it up into the crease. What you want to achieve here is just a very natural fake lid appearance. To find your crease, you just need to push the brush in and blend it up to the brow bone. Okay, so with one product, you have your eyes and your complexion all done. Alright, moving on to blushes. I would recommend two from Milani. They're both from Milani. This is the Baked Blush in Luminoso. They have other kind of undertones as well, and other red, pink, peach shades, so you can find one that suits your skin. What I really like about this is that it gives off a very refined shimmer similar to the bronzer, and it's just very, very beautiful on the skin. I would say that if you don't like that shimmer quality, you don't really have to be too scared, because it's essentially, it's not visible as long as you're like just talking to someone. but if you look really closely, like up front in the mirror, you can see very refined shimmers, but it's just a very beautiful formula and it's very fine, so you won't see like chunks of powder on the skin. And if you don't like that shimmer quality from Milani as well, they have the Romantic Rose type of blush, which is a matte blush, but it's definitely not a flat matte. I find that this feels a bit more satin than anything. Alright, using a blush brush, I'm gonna go into the Luminoso Milani Baked Blush. I'm going pretty heavy-handed, but what I want you to know is that a variety of people use products differently, so the extreme would be a heavy-handed person. So if you pick up too much product, always remember to just kind of dust it off your hand first. I usually like to apply blush somewhere, you know, in between the under eye area as well as the bronzed area. So you just need to take it like that upwards. So you'll be surprised with blush as well. Honestly, when with makeup, do what looks best on you. Don't do it according to the rules or the mapping of where you should put what. With blush, especially this kind of a tone, you can apply it on the temples as well, simply because that's where the sun naturally hits, so you do get that red undertone usually, and on your nose. The only thing you want to be really careful with when it comes to blush is that you don't really overdo it, because you can't take it off your skin. So go lightly and build up the intensity that you want. Not sure if you can tell, it has like a very nice little shine. I'm using daylight, so you can see like this a very subtle shine, so it's nothing to be too scared about. Okay, I wasn't sure whether or not to mention this because it's expensive, similar to the other Clio product, but I'm just gonna mention it real quick if you guys manage to find it. It's from Clio as well, and it's a blush palette. So this would really suit a multitude of people, and I would say I would recommend this, but it isn't my ideal blush formula. So because I really like the Milani baked blushes a lot and the rose blushes, because it's just very beautiful and very well thought out in terms of, you know, a powder that doesn't look too mattifying. These will look a little bit mattifying, so you might want to play up like the setting spray or something like that, but the color selection is definitely beautiful. Alright, for highlighter, I only have one option. It's from Catrice. It's a baked highlight. They do have different kind of highlighters in store, so you can see which one suits your shade. This is Amber Crystal, that's the color. Okay, with highlighter, I'm just going to very lightly take a bit of the product, and I'm just going to precisely highlight. I don't really want to take this onto the blush region because the blush already has a glow. If I use a flat matte blush, yeah, I would take the highlighter somewhere a little lower, but because today our formulation is on point, so there really isn't a need to go overboard with the highlighter. So you can see already it shows through, and because it's a baked formula, it's just so light on the skin. Take this on the bridge of my nose. I know some people like to just highlight the tip of the nose and the bridge, but for me, because I do have like a jagged nose, so I like to take it all the way straight, so that, you know, from this angle it looks straight, but you don't really have to do that or worry too much. You can just highlight however you want. You can highlight your cupid's bow, your chin. So this is where naturally with highlight I like to play up, you know, I like to add a little bit more shine onto the skin, giving that illusion of, you know, gloss or natural oils coming through, even though it is a powder. So you can just naturally highlight where you would like to look a little bit more dewy, but it's powder, so that's incredible. I would say that one thing that drugstores are missing in general is like cream products, but I'll definitely be on the hunt for like a full face of drugstore cream products, because I usually like to use cream more than powder, but this is an excellent starter kit because with powders you can use it for nighttime, you can use it for daytime, you can use it for, you know, like anything really, and it looks really presentable. Alright, we're moving on to the eyes because complexion's completely done at this point. I would recommend these. These are cream shadow sticks from Revlon. They are the glaze sticks as well as the velour sticks, which so it's just the matte and shimmer variations. But what's really excellent about cream products is that you can amp up the intensity instantly with one swipe and also just blend it out with your fingers, and they're excellent on the go, and you don't need a tool. That's the most important thing. I would say that it's not that affordable, because you would expect for like, you know, something that's just a stick, it would be like pretty really affordable in terms of its price point, but it isn't. But the quantity inside will honestly last you a lifetime, because with a single swipe you cover your whole lid and there's no way you're gonna finish this. It's just too much product to use for a cream product. But yeah, I would highly recommend these. And for those of you who like a conventional powder formula, this is a very good palette from Milani. It's called the Most Loved palette. You can see there's so many fingerprints, but this is a exclusively matte palette. They do have a shimmer variation, so pick whichever you like. But for me, I highly recommend starting out with an all matte shadow, because basically if you want a little bit of shimmer to run through your lids, you can just use your highlighter. But you'll never go wrong with a solely neutral matte eyeshadow, because you can achieve like really deep dark looks for your formal occasions. You can just take one of these colors and just swipe it all over your lids. So I'm going to use a combination of these two to show you the formulation. Alright, firstly I'm going to go in with a very light brown. I already do have bronzer in my crease, I am aware. But starting with this shade as well as this shade, just mixing the two. I'm going to deepen my crease. So you just have to like lower your gaze and just lightly circle the motion into the crease and build it inwards. So that way you can get a very natural looking crease and a gradient effect. So with the intensity of the bronzer earlier, I would say for like strictly daytime, you're going to school, you're just meeting friends for brunch, just use your bronzer in the crease. But I'm going to show you how I would do, like, you know, maybe you're going for a fancy girls' lunch or something like that and you want to look nice. And or if it's like, I don't know, late afternoon, you don't really want to look too daytime, you can just build up the intensity of the browns here. So I'm going to use the darker ones right here, and you can slowly just build up the intensity. So take a mental picture. This is like, you know, a very thoughtless, just put on the light brown shadow, do your lashes, and you're out the door. So the second step or the second level would be what I'm doing now, which is to just lightly concentrate it on the outer corner. Take it slightly higher than your crease, and using a clean brush you just want to blend it so that it looks seamless. So the aim here is basically just to get a little bit more smoky with the eyeshadow. And with, like I mentioned several times already, with a matte formulation you don't have to worry about it looking like overly done, in the sense that it's like fully like glitter or like foiled glitter on your lids. You just have to work on building the pigments gently. You can also do this with a flat brush using the darker shade. You can just like really, don't be too scared. Sometimes I'm really scared to do this because I feel like sometimes it may be overdone if I pick up too much pigment. But you can just press the full intensity on the lid and just keep blending. And you can take the color on the lower lash as well, so that it balances out the intensity. So to do that, you can just use your fluffy brush and just pinch it so that you get a more precise flat tip. Okay, so this would be the nighttime intensity and this would be the daytime. Okay, so using the velour stick, I'm going to try to achieve the same kind of look but using this shadow stick. It's a matte formula as well. So with the stick itself, you can just drag it onto the lid. So you can use these as eyeliners as well. But I'm just going to use my finger and blend it. They also have a blender at the end, but initially I like to use my finger first. Sometimes what I like to do is just draw it on the back of my hand and pick it up with my finger. So with the powder, you can see that you can get that really nice crease effect. With the stick, it's a little bit more difficult, but it achieves the same result. So similarly, I'm just taking it on the lower lash line to make it a little bit more smoky. Alright, so both eyes to me look pretty similar. It's just a way for me to show you what cream products can do and what powder products can do. So this is fully mattified. So similarly, because our eyeshadow palette doesn't have a shimmer, this is what I would recommend, which is the easiest and the most genius kind of makeup hack ever. Just use your highlighter and starting from the middle, just sweep it from the inner corner to the middle. And use your fingertips so that you feel your crease, so you know where to define the lid space. Take this to the inner corner and drag it on the lower lash line as well. Just try not to don't put too much product on the inner corner because sometimes it can look overly done. But if you want lightness and brightness to the eyes, you can bring it all the way out also. It really depends on you. So that's how it looks like with the highlighter. You can see instantly my eyes are brightened and it feels a lot more awake. Okay, and on the cream shadow side, I'm going to use the glaze stick from Revlon, and it's a shimmer quality. So I'm just gonna map it in the same way we did with the powder. So with this shimmer quality, it's not as, I would say it's more like a balmy kind of finish. So it won't give you like that very comfortable matte feel, but it still works all the same. And I feel like for every day I would use this stick more often, as in I would just swipe it on and go. Alright, for mascara, I have two to recommend. The first one being from L'Oreal Lash Paradise. Talked about this before as well. Gives really nice separated lashes. Even though it is waterproof, I would say that it's just not, you know, entirely waterproof. It does smudge, but very slightly, and this is honestly as good as it gets, even with high-end mascaras. This is from Heroin Make, which is the volume and curl formula, and this is my ride or die. Like literally, if they stop stocking this up, I won't die, but I mean seriously, it's like the best, and I don't even it's seriously the best, and I genuinely don't even bother looking for like more expensive products. These two are a little pricey still, but it's so worth it because it works. It actually works for my very fine lashes. Alright, and you can see how long that makes my lashes look as compared to nothing. It has fibers with it, so it naturally like will add length. This hold it gives, like this curl and this length and this volume, is literally what will stay on the whole day. It won't even flake or it won't even smudge. So that's why this is like so good. Alright, so last but not least, I'm only gonna recommend like honestly one lip product, which is, I mean, it's unbelievable because there's so much variety in the drugstore, but this is what I prefer and I would recommend it to you highly, because when it comes to lipsticks, I've moved past the phase of liquid lipsticks and I feel like that was like not a good time for me. It's not flattering, it's not complementary to a lot of natural qualities. One really wants their lips to look like really matte, I feel, nowadays at least. But yeah, I'm only going to recommend this, but honestly there are so many products in the drugstore, and I'm going to talk to you why I'm going to recommend these HD gel sticks from Revlon, because they are, number one, it's my ideal type of formula. It's not a straight up lipstick, it's not a straight up gloss, it's not a straight up balm. It's a mixture of all these things, and it's pigmented, which is incredible, and they have a very good nude selection. So these two are my favorite, which is 700 Sand as well as 710 Desert. Very slight differences. And these are the pink and purple-ish family. This one's also a little bit more nude, 705 Dawn. And this one is 730 Tropical, which is a super fun bright pink for all of you who like those like really fun pop of color. For today's look, I'm probably going to go in with a Dawn, which is a deeper, darker shade. I'm just going to show you the applicator. It's literally so precise, you don't need a lip liner. It's not a lipstick type of bullet where you might need to use a lip liner. You can go directly in with this. And the formula is just so blendable and buildable that you can achieve a variety of looks with it. Like you can just do a lip stain, you can do ombre lips, you can do a full-on contoured lip. And I find that this formula allows me to overdraw my lips as well if I want to. Usually I just slightly overdraw it. And you can see like my lips look plumped, it looks full. And while it will not last a whole day, but just keep this in your handbag and you can reapply it as you go, I highly recommend this formula simply because it's it suits women of all ages, and I don't take that lightly because when it comes to lipstick formulas, I feel like the finish should be something that's flattering on everybody, but obviously each to its own. I feel like this is an everyday person's type of lipstick that feels comfortable, feels nourishing, looks great. A combination between natural and also made up, you know what I mean? Because that's typically the vibe I would go for and what I would advocate for with makeup. I don't... Notable mentions category, you notice that I didn't use any foundation, and I know a lot of you might be dying to hear my picks because we all love foundation, don't we? But just want to show you that at the end of this look, I only use concealer. So highly recommend you guys to experiment with good quality, good coverage type concealers, and experiment with the different finish from light to medium coverage to full coverage. Just use your concealer. But drumroll please, I'm going to recommend my 2 top favorite foundations, and one of them I actually threw out already, but I'll still recommend it because it's my favorite. Alright, the first one would be the Milani Screen Queen, which is a new release. I like this because I've used it like about 3 times now, and it's very lightweight. Feels really comfortable on the skin, and it looks great on photography. Next one would be the Candid foundation from Revlon. It's a very beautiful foundation that performs almost like... It could be a tinted moisturizer if you use like half a pump, but with a full 1.5, it's super full coverage. It's a gel formulation, so it doesn't look too masking, and it still gives your skin a radiant shine. And unfortunately, like I mentioned, I don't have this one anymore because I cleared it out. But you guys know I love Bourjois when it comes to foundations, and the Healthy Mix Serum Foundation is the one that I would recommend. It's still in stock, it's hard to find also, but that would be the ideal kind of foundation for me. It could be the only foundation I'll use for life also. It's very beautiful for formal occasions, and it's also incredibly beautiful for everyday wear. So those are the 3 foundations I would recommend. Alright, so just nice, I was able to, you know, film a hair tutorial using the INH Wavy Baby Hot Tools, which is their first Hot Tools, and this has nothing to do with the Drugstore video, but I really like the waves it gives. It's not your conventional like really loose waves, but I really like it because it just gives me like a very fun vibe, and I also like the fact that, you know, it gives my straight hair texture. But yeah, that's not the video, and this is the final look using the ultimate drugstore kit starter kit video for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. I respond way quicker on Instagram via DM. And yeah, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask me. Do let everyone know in the comment section what your experience was with the product. So without further rambling, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!